Hello there. Okay, this is for net 125. All right, so for net 125, for this week, we're in chapter 5 or module 5, and module 5 doesn't have any packet tracers. It doesn't have any labs per se. There is a quiz at the end of the chapter that I want you guys to do. But the other thing that I have for you is this worksheet on, well, really it's on IP4 addressing, but the first part of this is going to be also doing some binary conversions. And I think I also have a hex conversion sheet, and if I can find that, I will upload it also. Okay, so for right this minute, what I wanted to do was go over this worksheet with you just a little bit. And you'll see up here at the top, IP4 address classes. Now, whenever they came up with the IPv4 addressing system back in the day, they went ahead and divided this thing up to, kind of help with addressing for big companies and small companies. Now, the Class A addresses start with anything from 1 up to 127, because you'll notice that out here, see, we've got a subnet mask of 255.0.0.0. That's inherent to the Class A addresses. So the leading bit pattern here, when it says 0, what it's talking about is this first octet. See how those are all zeros? So if you start here and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you keep counting up, using these zeros, and you can go all the way up to 127, but then when you get to 128, then that first 0 is going to become a 1, because in binary, a 1 followed by 7 zeros is 128. Okay, so that's the Class B addresses go from 128 to 192. To 191, because when you get all these filled out with ones, then you've got 191, and then whenever you go to 192, then you're going to have a 1 and a 1 followed by 6 zeros. That's 192, and these are kind of offset a little bit. Class C goes with this. Excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. Okay, Class D and Class E. These are, Class D is multicast, and Class E addresses 240 to 255. Those are reserved for research, experimentation, stuff that we're not allowed to play with. Okay, now loopback address, 127.0.0.1. That is your local host address. So if you type in at the command line ping localhost, then this is the address you're going to ping. Okay, now Class A. These are private address spaces. So in the Class A network, they set aside the 10 network to be used by private entities. So like here at the school, we actually use the 10 network for our classrooms. You'll notice that if you check the IP address of your machine here at the school, it's going to be like if you're in classroom 238, then all the machines in that classroom start with 10.238.0.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, depending on which device it is. So we use the 10 network, but that's private here. When we go out on the internet, we have to have public IP addresses. Those are different. There's also a private Class B and a private Class C, and the Class C is the one that you probably are familiar with from your home network. Most routers that you buy, routers and switches that you buy off the shelf, they're going to default to a Class C address, and it's typically going to be like 192.168.1.0 or maybe .2.0. You could also go in and you could tell your router to use either 172.16 or 10. It doesn't really matter. These are all private IP addresses that you can use inside your house, inside your office, whatever. They can't be routed over the internet, though. Now, the default subnet masks for these different IP address classes, for Class A, the first octet is the network address, so it's 255.0.0.0. For Class B, the first two octets are used for the network address, and for Class C, we use the first three octets. And this is probably the subnet mask that you're used to seeing, 255.255.255.0. Okay, so we're going to cruise on down here. Now, binary to decimal conversions. Okay, if you're converting, if you're using a pencil and paper, which I would encourage you to do, go through here and try doing these with pencil and paper, and then go back and do it again using a calculator just to check your work. And if you bring up the calculator, and I can't remember if I've showed you guys this before or not. If I have, then please forgive me for being redundant. But whenever you bring up the Windows calculator, see how it says standard right here? What we're going to do is we're going to change this thing to programmer mode. Okay, now watch this. Okay, I'm just going to put this guy over to the side. All right, see right here, this first one, the answer is 146, because if you take, if you look in, and it's 10010010. Well, where'd the 146 come from? Well, if you look under the 128 column, you've got 1, so that's 128. You can write it down if you want to, or you can just remember it in your head. Okay, so we got 128, and then we've got 16. So if you add 128 and then you add 16, then you're going to get, is that 144? 16, yeah, 144. Okay, and then if you add 2 more to it, so 128 plus 16 plus 2, then here it is. 128 plus 16 is 144. And plus 2 is 146, so it's 146. Now you can check your work with your calculator, and we're going to type in, switch to binary mode, and you'll notice, see how all the numbers here are grayed out except for 1 and 0? That's because in binary all you have is 1 and 0. So we're going to type in 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0. And if we look up here under decimal, sure enough, it's 146. Okay, so we got that one right. Okay, now what about this next one here? Okay, this next entry, I'm going to go ahead and clear this off. Okay, so this one, we've got a 64 and we've got a 32. Okay, 64 plus 32 is 96. Okay, 96 plus 16 is going to be, let's see, 96 plus 16 is going to be, is that 122? No, 112. Okay, and then we're going to add 4 to that. So we got 112 plus 4 is 116. And then we got 2 more on that, so that's 118. And then we add 1 more, so that should be 119. Okay, so we can figure that out by pencil and paper. 64 plus 32 plus 16 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1. Sorry, my formatting is kind of messed up here. Okay, so let's try it. So we figured, what was it, 119? Okay, so that's what I'm thinking. All right, let's try it over here and see how close we were. Okay, so we got a 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. And if we look up here under decimal, sure enough, it's 119. So we could type right in here, 119. Oops. All right, I told you my formatting was messed up. Okay, so somewhere over here I can type 119. Okay, and also what I'm going to do is, just because I like my instructor, I'm going to color this blue so that he can see that that is my answer and not the one that was already printed on the paper. So just go down through here and do, oh, this next one is interesting. Okay, this has got solid ones, right? So this is 128 plus 64, which is 192, and then plus 32, which is going to give you 224, and then plus 16 is 240, and then 248, and then plus 4 is 252, plus 2 more is 254, and then plus another one is 255. So all ones across here makes 255. And that's one that'll come in handy. You'll see that over and over again when we do our IP address masks. Okay, so this one, see how these things are all arranged in columns, and it's just to help you figure out that, like for right here, you've got no 128s, you've got no 64s, no 32s, no 16s, no 8s. All you've got is a 4 and a 2 and a 1. And so 4, 5, 6, 7. So 3 ones there is going to just be 7. Okay, now down here, these ones are not arranged, you know, they're not stretched out. So you have to remember that, okay, this first 0 is 128, the second 0 is 64, then 32, and then we've got a 16 and an 8. Okay, 16 plus 8 is 24. And then we've got no 4s, but we do have a 2, which is 26, and then we've got a 1, which is 27. Now, whenever you're doing these problems, if you see that this last number here is a 1, then you know your answer is going to be odd. If the last number is a 0, then you know your answer is going to be even. So that's another quick way that you can check your work. Okay, now down here, we're going to do the same thing, but except for in reverse. So for this one, like 123, and we want to convert it to decimal. Okay, so we look. Now, do we have any 128s? Well, no, we don't. Okay, so we would put a 0 there. Do we have any 64s? Yes, we do. We have a 64. And then if we take our 123 and subtract 64, excuse me, I don't have my calculator on me, and I'm not that good at subtraction. Hang on. Let's go into decimal mode and clear this. All right, so where was I? Right here, 123. Okay, I don't have any 128s. I do have a 64. Okay, so I'm going to say 123 minus 64 equals. Okay, then that leaves me with 59. Okay, so I've got a 64, so I've got a 1 in the 64's place. And then do I have any 32s? Yes, I do. So I'm going to subtract off a 32. Okay, now do I have any 16s? Yes, so I'm going to put a 1 in the 16s column. Hang on. Let me see if I can do this. 0, and then a 1. And then a 1, and then a 1. This is going to mess up my formatting, but that's okay. Let me see if I can do something about that. Okay, so 123 is what we're working on. We got a 64, a 32, and a 16 so far. That's 32, 27. Okay, minus 16 equals 11. Okay, do we have any 8s? Yes, we have an 8. Do we have any 4s? No, because that would make 12. Do we have any 2s? Yes. Okay, so that's 10, and that leaves us one more to account for. So we're going to put a 1 there. So according to my calculations, 123 should ought to look like, see, there was a 0 there. It should look like 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. Now let's see if we got that correct. We'll go over and we'll check our work. Whoops, decimal. Clear. All right, let's see, 123. Okay, what does that look like in binary terms? 0 and then 4 1s, and then a 0 and 2 1s. Okay, cool, so we got it right. And All right, I know this is like tedious stuff, but it's good to know. But you know, if you want to use your, nobody's looking over your shoulder, so if you just want to use the calculator for all these, you can. Just make sure you understand how the thing works. Okay, now address class identification. What you're going to have to do, if you don't remember, okay, remember a few minutes ago when we were talking about these things, remember 0 through 127 was class A. And then 128 through 191 was class B, and then 192 up through 223, sorry, was going to be class C. Okay, so this is a class C address. All right, this one here is a class B address. This is a class C address. And if you forget, then you can just go back to that first page where it tells you, you know, where we tell you, okay, 1 through 127 is class A, so you can just flip back to that if you don't remember. Okay, now, all right, network and host identification. Now, remember, we're using default subnet masks for this. Now, this originally was a page, you know, that we could hand out in class, but since we're doing this in an online format, what I'm going to have you do is this. We're supposed to be circling or, like highlighting which is the network portion and which is the host portion. So on this side, we've got, we're going to highlight the network address. So remember, this 209, this is a class C. So we're going to highlight this just like that. This is also a class C. We're going to highlight the network portion. This one here is a class A. We're just going to highlight the network portion. Okay, and just keep going down through here like that. Okay, now this is a class C address, and we only want to highlight the host portion. So we're going to do this. And this one is also class C, so it's this. This is class A, so the host portion, whoops, the host portion is this. Okay, so keep going down until you've got all these done. Okay, now network addressing, and this is giving you, okay, the network address and the subnet. So for this one, we've got 255.255.0.0. That means the first 2 octets are network addresses. So it's going to be network address .00, because that's how we write network addresses. These things always end in 0. Not always, but for right now they do. Okay, so 192, 149, and they've been kind enough to put the mask right here. So over here, we're going to type in 192.149.24.0. I'm going to delete some of those dashes just to kind of clean things up. Okay, makes sense. Okay, for this one right here, this one is just going to be 10.0.0.0. Easy peasy. And then this down here is a little bit confusing, but this is how it is. Okay, so if we're looking at the host portion, then we're just going to be writing that part of the address that corresponds with the 0 in the subnet mask. So for this one, since we've got a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0, then our host address for this is going to be 0.0.0.11. Easy enough, right? For this one right here, it's going to be 0.0.230.19. And okay, default subnet masks. This is kind of like that same thing we did a few minutes ago where we were determining whether it's class A, B, C. Okay, so for this one, this is a class Is this a Class A, Class B, or Class C? Well, it starts with 191. That makes it a Class B. So the subnet mask is 255.255.0.0. And get rid of some of those extra dashes. There we go. Okay, this one here is a Class C address. Default subnet mask is going to be 255.255.255.0. And then delete the extra spaces. Very good. Okay, what about for 10? Okay, 10 is a Class A address, so its subnet mask is 255.0.0.0. All right, I feel confident that y'all can do this. Okay, now this business about anding, I'm going to put this on a different video because this video has already gotten way too long. And logical anding is an important thing to know. So yeah, we're not going to just skip over this. I'm going to explain it to you in a little bit better detail, but not right this minute. So be looking over this, read about the logical anding, and then I'll hit that up in a different video. And I apologize for running so long with this. Holy cow, time flies when you're having fun with network addresses. So yeah, I'll see y'all in the next one. Have a good day.